Let's return now to the budget. With me live in the studio is the Chief Economist at EY, Cherelle Murphy. Cherelle, thanks so much for your time. I've had a look at your budget preview. Essentially, well, let's start with the big overview. Surplus, great. Surplus, that's fine.
Very welcome.
The way you put it, beware the ending.
Yeah.
Explain to our viewers what you're thinking on that.
So it looks like we're going to get a cyclical upturn in the budget. So the economy's obviously been running strongly. We've had lots of immigrants. We've had strong jobs numbers. We've had strong commodity prices. That means that the government's revenue picks up, both through personal and company tax receipts, and the expenses go down, so you get to a surplus in the short term. But we know that we have an economy that's slowing. It's slowing because the Reserve Bank is deliberately trying to slow it to stop inflation. And that means that those sources of additional impetus to the budget, additional revenue, they will fade away. And the longer term problems between expenditure and revenue in the budget, that gap, that doesn't go away because of this.
And while people, there are a lot of people living in poverty on JobSeeker, so no one would begrudge lifting people out of poverty with that JobSeeker payment. The government, though, in an inflationary environment, needs to find savings elsewhere to offset that spend, doesn't it? Because it is inflationary.
Yeah, that's right. So any spending is inflation. There's very few things that you can put into the economy that doesn't increase aggregate demand. But of course, the government can offset. It can find savings elsewhere, or of course, it could raise taxes to offset that, which means that across the 4 years, and it would have to be done on a year-by-year basis, they'd have to match up, it could actually take that aggregate demand back out again.
Yeah, so spending more is fine, and there's going to be a surplus, but if you're spending more without the saves, those structural saves, you're still putting more money into an economy where the RBA is trying to take money out to try and cool the economy.
That's right, that's right. And that's obviously very much a concern right now because the Reserve Bank has a bias to tighten. So basically they're saying there's a good chance we're going to increase interest rates again. So if a lot of that money, for example, falls into the immediate few months, that's probably where it'd be most problematic. So if it's put in, it has to come out somewhere else.
The government's talking about saves and reprioritisation of spending about $18 billion worth. Is that enough?
It depends on what the spend is, and we don't really have that clear picture yet. So really they have to be equal. So if there is genuinely $18 billion worth of savings there and $14 billion worth of spending, as long as it's lined up year by year, that's fine. That works. But we have to see the detail to know if that's actually the case.
When you look at the energy relief, the government says Treasury advice is that will bring CPI down because it's going to go to people's bills and take the number off people's bills, therefore the CPI will reduce. However, those families, those households have more dollars to spend separately. So
that's right.
How does that balance out in terms of, is it inflationary or not?
It certainly can bring down the CPI, but it doesn't mean it's not inflationary. Again, it's effectively adding aggregate demand to the economy. Now, to be fair, there has, of course, been some decline because of those high bills. So probably overall it would even out.
Cherelle Murphy, EY Chief Economist, thank you as always, appreciate it.
Pleasure.